Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. We've got a few people that are jumping on here. We're just gonna we're gonna wait. We're gonna start right at the top of the hour. So if you're here early, thank you so much for joining us. We're in a new studio today. Well, it's not a new studio, newly built studio, and the heater didn't come on last night. So we're here in southern Utah. It's cold, so you're gonna have to deal with me having a jacket today. But if you're just joining us, jump on. Thank you for joining us. This is the Data to Dollars webinar put on by myself, Mike Green from Dr. Demographics. Um, and again, we got a few people popping on here. Let me kind of give you a preview for those of you that are jumping on here. Just a little bit of a background. I'm not sure. I know we had quite a few people came from social media. You're probably maybe for the first time seeing Dr. Demographics, and that's all right. We welcome you. So Dr. Demographics, and we'll go over this a little bit more in the presentation, but we've been around for about 40 years. Founder was Scott McDonald. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll talk a little bit about Scott here just for a minute before we get started. Scott worked for the California Dental Association back in the 80s, and when they decided that they were going to start allowing dental offices to market, he realized that he was a data person, so realized there was a gap there. So he pioneered the data system side of for dental offices there, specifically in California, and then that's grown over the last 30 years. I joined up with Scott about 15 years ago, was his partner for quite some time. We developed a bunch of marketing initiatives. I come from a marketing background, and a lot of exciting, fun things happened there. My time with Scott, love Scott. He retired back in 2022, and at that time I bought out his side of the partnership. He was a great mentor, so we really love Scott, and glad that he had a chance to build this great business and also to really pioneer this side. And we're at the top of the hour, so welcome to the Data to Dollars webinar. Excited that you're here. Excited that we get an opportunity to work together to talk about this really important topic. Now, I think most of the people that are on here that I know of, you're dentists, and so this data is really applicable to anybody that owns a professional practice. Definitely don't have to be a dentist, but most of the data that will, the methods that we talk about, we're going to use dental examples. We're most known in the dental world, and so I guess that makes sense. But I want to make sure that if you're an optometrist, or if you're a veterinarian or a physical therapist, I believe we had a few people register that were physical therapists. This information is going to work for you perfectly, so don't feel like you're left out or this isn't applicable to you. The great thing about data is universal. Data doesn't lie. Data tells the truth as far as what needs to be done in a particular area. And my job today is to help you turn that data into actual dollars. So again, excited that you're here. And you can see, hopefully you're seeing the screen okay. We're going to learn how to use demographic data to flood your practice with high value patients. And I say high value patients, that doesn't necessarily mean high dollar patients. High value patient might be an inexpensive patient that stays with you for a very long time. Or maybe a high value patient is someone that comes in and does a full mouth restoration and is a high dollar cosmetic case, and you never see them again. Either way, demographic data is the key for you to be able to find and engage with and ultimately secure that person as a patient for your practice long term. So my promise to you is that by the time we're done today, that you're going to understand the power of data. What if you could predict exactly where your ideal patients live? Ideal patients, not just where people live in your area, but actually ideal patients, what they actually need and how to actually reach them. When you turn data into dollars, what we find is the doctors that get this and are able to implement it into their practice, they typically see almost an immediate 20 to 50% more patients, more people walking through the door, really within a few months, and sometimes the next month. Because when we go in and do a consultation with the doctor, oftentimes there is a huge hole in the bucket that they're just not seeing because they're not looking at it with those eyes. And excuse me, as soon as we're able to plug up that hole in the bucket, they are on their way and they're able to capture a huge percentage of the patients. Now, sometimes that data is that they don't understand exactly what people want. Other times, they're missing a whole cultural subset of the population that is in their area. And so really is dependent on what you're looking at as a practice professional and what you're trying to accomplish. But when you mix data into that, that really is the secret. So today, my promise is that when you leave here today, you're going to understand a little bit better the power of data. So the key to recession-proof practices is actually not more marketing spend. That is so often what we hear from doctors, is that if I could just put, $3,000 more dollars, $5,000 more dollars, $10,000 more dollars into my marketing spend, that they would be able to do this or do that, or be able to secure this type of marketing campaign, or they've had a marketing company pitch them this massive thing with these outlandish results, and so they go into it and they go for broke, and that's typically what happens, is they turn out broke, because those campaigns usually don't work because it's not targeted on demographic intelligence. So when you when you have demographic intelligence, demographic data, and you couple that with strategic growth, then those two things combined make a very powerful opportunity for you to be successful in your practice. So really the question is, if maybe you're a dental student or a student, maybe you're don't own your own practice yet. I know we have a lot of associates on right now that you're maybe go to the practice a few times a week, but you're not in the ownership. Maybe you want to buy practice at some point. Really, the question you've got to ask yourself is, do you want to be part of the 10%, or are you going to be part of the 90%? And I can promise you that if you don't take strategic action on what you want to do and be very intentional about what you want to do, you're going to be in the 90%. Why? Because 90% of doctors fall into that category. They just kind of take what comes to them. Now, if you're a dental office in most parts of the country, you're probably going to be moderately successful as long as you manage your schedule and your staff and your reputation. You'll probably be successful enough, right? You'll be able to live a comfortable life, and you'll be able to do some of the things you want to do. But the 10% are on a different plane. They're on a different place. And those 10% of doctors are the ones that are changing the world. And by changing the world, they also have the lifestyle that you're probably dreaming of, that you want to have as a practice. I'm not talking about building a practice that does $700,000 a year. We're talking multiple seven figures is what we want your practice to be doing. But again, if you're not intentional about what you want to do, and if you're not willing to learn and take the data that you want to that is provided for you, and then couple it with that strategic plan, you're not going to get there. We've been doing this for 40 years. We have talked to thousands upon thousands of doctors over that time, and there's a few key differences between the 10% and the 90%. So knowledge is worthless without action. So my commitment to you today is we're not just going to give you knowledge, but we're going to uncover a path for you. Now, 43.7%, I want you to keep that number in your mind. We're going to refer to it later, but 43.7% is going to be a life-changing number for you here, and we're going to talk more about that later on in the presentation. So first of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Mike Green. I own Dr. Demographics. Myself, I have been doing marketing and market segmentation and advertising for over 30 years. Back in 2013, I partnered with Scott McDonald with Dr. Demographics. He founded it back in 1983. And over the last 15 years, Scott and I have worked with many doctors, helping them do practice placement, understand data, and understand how to implement into their practice. It's an exciting venture. Scott's retired now, retired back in 2022, but we're excited to share some of these things that we've learned over those years with you. So one of the things you need to understand is that you cannot outspend bad marketing. So I was sitting in a doctor's office. I'll just say he was up in the Pacific Northwest, and he had hired me for a consultation. This was a few years ago, after COVID, but kind of that time where doctors were starting to really come back after COVID. And sitting in his office, working with him and his staff, we did a very in-depth demographic analysis on their neighborhood and spent about 4 hours with that doctor and his team. And this was like a Thursday morning. And they were open the whole time we were there, and we were going through all this data. And about 2 o'clock, we were kind of wrapping up, and the doctor said to me, he said, "Mike, why is it that we're not getting, like, why are we not being successful? Like, we're smart enough, we're nice enough, we love our patients, we're good clinicians, we have good results. Why aren't we more successful?" And I said, "Man, we've been sitting here for 4 hours this morning, and not one phone call, not one person walked through the door, nothing. And it wasn't that they had closed it, it just, the schedule was open. And I can promise you that you are not going to survive very long, just like that doctor was not going to survive very much longer with having those open gaps in his schedule. He needed to have a full schedule. And so he had gone through and he had hired all the fancy marketing companies, spent thousands and thousands of dollars on marketing, but none of that marketing was based on data. And so anytime you do that, you're going to have very little results, because every problem looks like a nail and all you have is a hammer. And so if you hire some marketing company that gives you all these big promises, and they say, well, we're going to just drop this set of results and do this SEO and this blah, blah, blah. If it's not based on data, then you're crazy for spending even a penny on that type of marketing. It's got to be based in demographic fact for what you do. So let's talk about, I'm going to give you 3 secrets today that you're going to be able to utilize today in your practice to have a better understanding of how to implement data. So secret number 1 is unlocking different patient pools within your neighborhood. So first of all, let me just kind of break a false belief that you and your staff might have. Number 1 is that marketing to everybody doesn't work. I put it to akin to, you see the fisherman there, he's got a cast net, so those nets they throw out is called a cast net. And it's kind of like a fisherman just walking up to any body of water and taking that net and throwing it out. What kind of results do you think that doctor's actually going to have with that practice? Now, he might catch a little fish here or there, but he's going to be throwing that net constantly, casting it kind of in a wide berth, hoping to get a fish or two that he's going to be able to sell or eat or whatever. That is how the 90% work. That's how they do their marketing. They'll throw out some Facebook ad, they'll throw out some this, none of it based on any intel, none of it based on any data. And so when they do that, they're just like that fisherman that's throwing that net. Now, this is what actually is true and what actually works. Number 1 is understanding your market identification. And what that is a combination of 2 different things. The first thing is demographics, and everybody knows what demographics is. That's understanding what the age, the family makeup, the income that they make, the type of employment that they have, whether they're a homeowner or a home renter, all of those things that we know of about demographics, all the things that you fill out in your census form, that's the first part of the equation. And frankly, that part of the equation is not that difficult. There's a lot of data because the census is a federal government thing. You can go online and you can get census data. The demographics is not really the magic there. Now, the other side of the equation, and the equation that makes you an awesome marketer and someone that's actually going to be successful in what you're trying to do, is the psychographic side. So if demographics is age, income, sex, all those different things, psychographics is, how does this person buy? What does this person value in their life and in their family? What is it that this person, what's the line in the sand that this person will not cross? What is it that this person is willing to sacrifice above all things? Now, I always give the example of my wife. So we're here in southern Utah, and we've got 3 kids, and we're a certain age. I won't say how old me and my wife are, but we're of a certain age. And someone might say, okay, well, I can take that same demographic profile of my wife, and I can look at somebody in Wisconsin or New York or New Jersey or Florida, and I can assume that person is this age and makes this much money and these different things, and I'm going to put a marketing program together that's going to work for both of those circumstances. And that'll work about 30%, but 30% is going to be a combination for broke for you. What really is magic is what makes someone that lives in southern Utah different culturally. What makes them different from a person that looks demographically exactly the same in New Jersey? And what is that person in New Jersey? What do they value? Where are they at on the political scale? Where are they at on what they are valuing within their life? And what you'll find when you look at things that close is all of a sudden this character sketch of a person here in Utah where I'm at in comparison to a person in New Jersey or Florida or New York or Colorado or anywhere starts to look very different. And if you're a true marketer, which is if you're a practice owner, which you absolutely have to see yourself as, you need to start profiling people at that level. Because once you understand them not only demographically, but psychographically, you can start really understanding what you need to do. So once you have that profile of that person, then you can start looking at the product mix that you're going to offer for your practice. So often we have doctors that will come to Dr. Demographics and will provide a viability study or something for the type of practice that they're going to do. And we'll get on after the report, and we always have a phone call with them. And I'll say, tell me a little bit about this practice you're going to build. And they'll tell all of these things of they want to build a practice that doesn't take insurance, and they want 70% to be these high value cosmetic cases and all of these different things, which is great. I love that they have that vision for their practice. But then we start looking at the demographics, and we try to help them answer a very important question of, is that even match the people that live in the place that you're looking to open a practice? Because if it doesn't match those people, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle constantly, and you're going to hate going into work after a couple years because you're not getting what you want. And so the answer to that is really simple. Either you change your practice philosophy to better match the people that you're going to be there at, or you start looking for a different market set, right? You start looking for a different group of people that you're going to open your practice to. And really, it's that simple. It's one of those two different things, because when those things are swapped, that's where you start getting a lot of trouble. And again, puts you in that 90% of practice owners that are just kind of taking what they can get. Boy, I sure hope I get a cosmetic case this month. Boy, I sure hope I can find this type of patients. Or boy, I sure hope I don't get more of these type of patients. That's no way to run a business. You are better than that. If you're on this webinar this morning, you're better than that. And the data is all there. Like, you just have to be able to get it for yourself and your practice. Of course, that's where we come in here at Dr. Demographics. So what's the execution model? It's very, very simple. Demographics plus psychographics equals the perfect patient pool. And once you have those character sketches of that data for those two groups of people, and you combine them together, that's going to answer all of your questions on what type of services and treatments you need to provide in your office. How are you going to decorate your office? What's that going to look like? Do you need to have a kids corner or not a kids corner? Do you need to be a high production office where you have people coming in really, really in and out very quickly? Or do you need to take more time and have more of a spa experience? That's what's going to answer those questions, and that's what's going to help you build the practice that's going to match the neighborhood and the demographic and the psychographic character sketches of the people that live in your area. So, secret number 2, data execution is actually really easy. Now, the false belief here is that data is just too complex. I don't have a sophisticated enough team to understand the data. And I get it. Data can be really overwhelming. The site viability report that we provide for our clients is 70 pages long of data. It's a lot. It's a mountain of data to get through. And and it can be really overwhelming. And we have a lot of doctors that will say that. It's like, this is just a lot and I don't get it. And I'm a great dentist or I'm a great a veterinarian or whatever, but I don't understand the data. And so the key is the data is actually very simple. Matter of fact, I always put my monkey friend here, even a monkey can understand it once you break it down and first understand what your patients actually need. So you understand those patient personas, the age, the income, and the needs. And then you start crafting that message when you get in the execution side. You start to understand, do the people that live in your area, your neighborhood that you're trying to market to, are they driven by ego or prestige? Are they driven by simply budget? Who's going to be the cheapest in town? Are they a soccer mom? And so it's all about convenience. Who can get me in today to see little Timmy, to get him taken care of because I've got 15 other places I've got to be? Or is it simply culture and race? Is it a situation where this subset of the population will only go to this doctor because they match the culture or the race of the people that are there? That's the kind of questions that the data is going to be able to give you. And again, once you understand that, and it's not difficult to understand, especially with a little bit of guidance, then the execution side is as easy so a monkey can do it. A chimp can do it. It's so easy because it just writes itself of what every marketing message needs to be, what every direct mail piece needs to be. All of those things become very, very simple. So that's the secret number 2 that the 10% understand, is that they allow the data to drive the execution and they don't have to guess. They don't have to rely on their gut to say, oh, I think this is going to work or I think that's going to work. No, they have the data tell them exactly how to do it. Okay, secret number 3 that the 10% understand that are finding success is that once they have that data, they can scale for long-term growth. And so now you can start looking at, how is this area going to grow for the future? So the false belief here is that economic shifts make patient growth really unpredictable. And in very, very few circumstances that might be true. But again, what I'm about to tell you will help you get through that. So the first thing that's very, very true in this secret is that you need to monitor the data changes locally every 24 months. And so there's no reason to do it every year. It's not going to change that quickly unless there's a major event. Like as an example, we worked with some doctors during Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, and that population changed dramatically. So many of those people ended up moving to Houston, and so it changed that landscape overnight. But barring some massive weather event or something like that, you're probably not going to have something's change. It's going to be so dramatic, but you need to stay on top of it every 24 months. So what you want to do in your marketing is to focus on recession-proof strategies. So you need to understand how the homeowner and home renter data is changing. Where is it trending over the next 5 or 10 years? How is that trend? How can you play into that trend? So for example, if you're opening a practice that has a really high percentage of homeowners, then you know that number one, it's going to be a little tougher to break in you as a new practice if they don't know you, because they're where they're going to be, and likely they're going to be there for at least 6 years statistically, and they probably have already found their provider. They found their dentist. They found the grocery store they like to go to. They found the gas station they always stop at. They found those things. And so if you go and open up a practice into a high homeowner area, you know that you're going to have some really dramatic thing that's going to bring them to your practice, and you can establish them as a new patient. Not impossible at all. It's done every single day. We help doctors do it all the time, but just know that that's going to be a hurdle you're going to have to go to. Now, if you have an area with a high renters, that there's a lot of renters in an area, that's not a bad thing at all. As a matter of fact, for a brand new practice, if you're in an area that has a really strong mix of renters there, that can be a really positive thing, right? Because on average, every 18 months, there's going to be a new set of eyeballs in that housing unit. And a lot of times those people aren't from that area. And so you've got as good a shot at them as anyone else if they're a renter, because they don't have those things established already in their life. So again, you need to be agnostic to it, right? Like whether there's a lot of homeowners, a lot of renters, you stay agnostic so that you can then allow the data to drive your decisions. If you've got a lot of homeowners, then you know, okay, we're going to have a strong offer to put into the marketplace in order for us to be successful. If there's a lot of renters, okay, we need to have a welcome to the neighborhood campaign going constantly, because probably that house that we sent that direct mail piece to 2 years ago probably has a brand new family in it. And so again, it's those kind of decisions you're able to make once you have the data. Second thing is you need to stay on top of the community and the culture, and allow your social media strategy to be talking in those two categories the most. And that's recession proof. So again, in most cases, doesn't really matter what the economy is doing. The community and the culture is going to stay the same within your neighborhood. So if you have a pretty good bead of, I have done really well. I'm thinking of a doctor in Southern California that is a great doctor, and he's done a fantastic job marketing to the Hispanic population in his area. He's a white guy, right? Happens to speak Spanish, but there's no other reason that he would be getting Hispanic patients any more than any other doctor. But he happened to understand that market really, really well, and so he tailored his marketing to it. Every direct mail piece that he sent out, he made sure that when they went to Hispanic communities, they were in Spanish. His website, really, really easy, had a button that you clicked and it would translate everything into Spanish, including the videos had Hispanic families in them rather than some other culture, because he was speaking to Hispanic families. And so again, as a marketer, he's agnostic. He's going to say, okay, who are these people that I want to attract as patients? And now I'm going to speak to them because I understand them on a demographic and a psychographic level. Thinking of a doctor in Las Vegas. So back in 2017, this doctor this was post-COVID, understood the community really, really well that he was around. And because he deployed those results, he actually increased by 23% during COVID, whereas all these other offices were on the downturn. Why? Because he understood his neighborhood extremely well. Another example, doctor and a dentist in Tennessee, northern Tennessee. He covered northern Tennessee, southern Kentucky. He understood that those people were in a very rural set, and they did not travel very far. They were very self-sufficient. And so what did he do? He built a mobile clinic, and it worked really, really well. And he would go to these different communities, and he was extremely successful. And it really didn't matter if it was during a recession, what the economy was doing. He understood his potential patients at the psychographic level, and so he was able to be very successful because of that. So the big thing I want you to walk away with is that hope is not a marketing strategy. Matter of fact, it's probably the worst strategy that you can do, because that's what puts you in the 90%. I sent this massive direct mail piece out that the marketing company told me to. Gosh, I hope that it works. No, you're better than that. You're a better marketer than that. The data is available. You can absolutely get it. It's not hard to acquire. It's not hard to understand. Do not base yourself on hope. That's what the 90% do. So what is it how is it the data turns guesses into growth? Consistency. Consistency is the key to you being successful. So how will you stay consistent when the crazy hits? We work with a lot of doctors who it's their first time owning a practice, and they're very ambitious, they're very excited, which is awesome. They totally should be. But the problem is everybody has either more time or more money. And when you're first a brand new practice, you have a lot of time, but you don't have a lot of money. But the problem is those things are going to intersect at some point, and you'll end up with more time, more money than you have time. And that's when the crazy hits, right? That's when the social media goes out the door. That's when the campaigning goes out the door. That's when I'm going to stay on top of things every 2 years goes out the door, because the crazy hits and it feels like a clown show every day and everybody's rushing around the office. The problem is your staff thinks that everything is nuts because it feels like they're rushing around and patients and whatever, but you're looking at the numbers and thinking, we've got to get more patients through the door. And so how will you stay consistent when the crazy hits for your practice? Remember that number I told you, 43.7%? This is the difference between the 10% and the 90%. The 10% invests in things that are going to build their business in a much larger way than what the 90% do. So that 43.7% is a very, very important number, because that is the number that we saw practices increase over the last year through our Platinum Partners program. That's a massive number. That's a 1-year jump in their revenue from 2024 to the revenue in 2025. I want to introduce you and those of you that are on the webinar to the Platinum Partners program. The Platinum Partners is a coaching program that gives you an incredible amount of resources, dedicated coaches and trainers for your entire business, leadership, marketing, operations, every part of your business. You get 2 in-person mastermind summits, 2 virtual summits annually with experts like Dan Martell, Russell Brunson. I don't know if you're familiar with those 2 names. If you're in the marketing world at all, these are the guys that wrote the script. These are the kind of caliber people that we have at our mastermind summits. Monthly group trainings and open office hours for real-time problem solving. So those open office hours are super important, because if you have a problem that you can't solve, whether it be marketing or operations or anything as far as running your business, we have a team of people that can help walk you through that and give you the answers that you need very quickly, so that you can move on to the next thing in your office. Unlimited access to our digital marketing campaigns that are proven results, direct mail, websites, automations, AI, I would add to this list. We have an incredible AI client that's just getting the finishing touches on it right now that will revolutionize your office. You have a dedicated community of high achievers, that 10% of people that have achieved that 43.7% in their offices, revenue growth over a year. You'll have access to those people to help you solve those problems. Opportunities to join our $1 Million Club. We've already had quite a few offices go from a practice that's struggling, that's kicking a rock down the road, to doing 7 figures in their office. We're so excited for them. And the last one is just so many fun elements to being part of the Platinum Partners group. If Platinum Partners is something you want to learn more about, just email me at mike@drdemographics.com. Just put in the subject line "interested," and we'll get more information to you. Let me just show you this quick video that just give you a taste of the Platinum Partners.
There's a deep end we both jumped in, feet first when it was sink or swim, head above water, all our sons and daughters, standing up against the waves on our own, growing tired, facing all the unknown. We've seen the stars give us a heavenly show, so we go with a fire burning deep in our soul.
There are things that you can do, lives that you can bless at scale when you are living in abundance. And our goal here, as you know, our primary core value is freedom, so that you can be the person you know you must be.
All right, so the Platinum Partners is a group that we limit to in 2026 to only 25 spots. It's very measured growth. We don't allow it to get too big, because we want to make sure that we're able to give the attention to the doctors who are really committed to be in that top 10%. Here's a great doctor telling a little bit more about his experience.
My favorite thing about the Platinum Partners program is being around people that have accomplished way more than I have, and then being around others whose practices are not quite at the maturity that our business is in, and remembering what it was like to be a young business owner and aspiring to be where a pathway that other people have already attained. Everyone here, I feel, has their back. There's nothing anyone wouldn't do for another, and just drafting with the people that you want to be around and want to be like and it just elevates everybody. So that's what I love about this group. My favorite thing about the live events is, the root foundation of our business is always to make this huge impact on our patients. And the live events really, you get to talk in a deeper level and network with all different type of owners in different types of levels, and create that impact not only for yourself, but for your teams, and ultimately that's going to impact your patients. So it has this compounding effect, and it's just more effective when you're face to face and you're seeing and talking and having conversations beyond just the scheduled sessions. That is the secret to the sauce. The last 2 years of our relationship with Platinum Partners, we have reached revenue goals that we had struggled with for a really long time. We were stagnant, we were flat, and our gains were incremental. Our gains now, since that, has been 20%, 25%, which we really didn't think was possible. And part of that changed because, quite honestly, being around Eric and his leadership and changing the way that you think about what is possible for yourself, and changing these little ways of thinking and how you decide to move through your everyday, and then over time those little decisions make bigger decisions easier, more focused. So when people ask us like, wow, how do you explain all the growth that you've had, it's just not one thing, but I would say the greatest thing has been changing our mindset and what we believed for ourselves and what was possible.
All right, Dr. Rick does a great job. I had a couple of you already email that you're interested. We will get back with you later today and schedule a time that we can talk about a little bit more. For those of you that are interested in learning more about the Platinum Partners program and finding the success and joining the 10%, whether you're a brand new doctor or you've been around for a long time, it's going to be very applicable to you. Just don't email me at mike@drdemographics.com. mike@drdemographics.com, put interested in the subject line, and I'll get back with you a little bit later. We just got another person interested, so thank you so much. We'll get back with you guys a little bit later today. One question that we had come up was, how is it that I can acquire data? So just go to drdemographics.com. All the information's right there. I would suggest that if you have an existing office, just get the site viability report. That report will give you all that data, demographic data, psychographic data, and then we always do an analysis afterwards. So I'll be able to answer whatever questions you have, help you implement that data. Site viability report. If you don't have a practice location yet, you might want to start with the Best Sites report. That may be a better place for you to start. Again, both reports are on the website, drdemographics.com, have all the descriptions and really easy to order right off the site. So I just want to thank you all for joining today on this webinar. Again, we're freezing cold in here. The studio didn't have a heater that kicked on last night, so you've had jacket time. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to probably do a webinar once a week, so look for future invitations. For those of you that I'm meeting for the first time, it's great to meet you. And again, if you're interested in the Platinum Partners program, just email me, Mike@drdemographics.com, with interested in the subject line, and we'll see you on the next one.